are going to continue our discussion of plant tissues. Just like you and I have different tissues, we have muscle tissue, we have tissues in our stomach, we have tissues in our eyeball. I am glad that my stomach tissue doesn't do the same thing as my eyeball tissue, right? So same thing with plants. Plants want certain tissues to do certain jobs, okay? Just like we need certain tissues for certain jobs. So we're going to talk about a couple of different types of tissues that plants have. So there is the epidermis. When you think of epidermis, what do you think of? A seizure? So our epidermis is our skin. Devin, get off your chair.
I'm sorry, I watched the lesson last night, and I heard someone say something about the chair. What? Guys.
So if we think about our epidermis about being our skin, with the plant, the epidermis of a plant is kind of like the plant's skin. Okay? So here in this picture, and remember if you've gone around and seen some of the microscope slides already, you see this layer here of cells on the top and on the bottom. That layer of cells is called the epidermis. So the epidermis is just the outer layer of cells. That's it. Do you know where we are in our notes? Yep, epidermis tissue. Outer layer of cells. So when we're done these notes, you're going to go around to the microscopes again and observe it again because now you know the terminology a little bit better. So please watch for the epidermis, especially on the leaf. It's really cool to see. Okay, sometimes the epidermis can have an extra protective coating called the cuticle. So this is dermal tissue, so like epidermis tissue. It gets all waxy, so it makes a wax, and the wax is called a cuticle. So it's like another layer over top of your skin. So it's like if you need to go outside, you need to wear a raincoat because you're always exposed to being really rainy or something. I'm not supposed to have a chair for a couple minutes. So it would be like here if we looked at the epidermis. So there's the upper epidermis and the lower epidermis. On top is this cuticle. So it's like the plant leaves, and generally we find it on leaves. It's the plant's wearing a raincoat. Okay? Yeah.
Is that why willow leaves, when they fall off, like in the fall, they're all like really powdery?
Powdery?
Yeah.
I don't know why about the powderiness.
It would, cuticle like dying.
Maybe. That's a good hypothesis. Yeah, I'm not sure. Now, when we talk about the dermal tissue, we need to talk about stomata because they are on the dermal tissue. So specialized cells on the dermal tissue are called stomata. Stoma for, you can have your chair now, John. Stoma for singular. They allow for gas exchange in and out of the cell. They're very important for photosynthesis. So you have guard cells that go around the stomata to make it open or make it close. So let's review. What is our photosynthesis formula? What do I need?
Sun energy.
A sun. Okay. What else?
CO2.
CO2.
Liquid. Equals C6, H12, O6, solid.
And our.
Oh, you need 6 of those.
Oh yeah. 6 here. Okay. So in our photosynthesis formula, we have a gas right here, and we have a gas right here. So the plants need to be able to have a significant amount of gas exchange because there's gases on both sides. There's a gas on both sides. So this is really, really important that we have these stomata to open up for gas exchange. So on this diagram here, these are the guard cells. Okay. So I think you guys have this picture in your notes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I show you when the guard cells are shrunk, the vacuoles in the guard cells are really tiny, like there's not as much water, so it's shrunk down and they're closed. Now if they get more water in the vacuoles, it opens up. So when a plant has lots of water, or it's in a hypotonic solution, the stomata will be open. Which makes sense because look, we need water to make it happen. We need water. So when water is available, the stomata will be open. As well, I'll talk about in the transport one. Well, I'll just leave it till then. Okay. So if we took a scanning electron microscope and we viewed in really close, this is what the stomata would look like, okay? Doesn't that look fun? Like two balloons almost kind of together? So these are the guard cells, and the actual opening is called the stomata. So the open part is the stoma, and the surrounding part is the guard cells. This is one on a plant that is more like probably a desert plant, because it has a really big waxy cuticle, and it, the stomata is closed here too. So it's closed shut. Okay, so that's all dermal tissue. So we have two more types of tissues. So there's dermal tissue, ground tissue, and then there'll be one more. So just three. So ground tissue. Ground tissue is just simply beneath the epidermis.
So is this all on the stem?
Yeah, it'll be in the stem. So the stem will have epidermal tissue and ground tissue and vascular tissue. It will look different on different plate parts of the plant. So that's why every 4 microscopes you get a stem, a leaf, and a root, so that you can see what the different tissues look like at different parts.
So the epidermis is on the stem, the leaf, and the root?
Yes.
Oh.
Just like we have skin on our hands, our head, and our legs, but it's all kind of a little bit different. Our skin's a little bit different on each part, but we still have skin on each part, yeah. So they all exist on all parts of the plant, they can just look different, yeah, good question. So ground tissue, its main purpose is to support the plant, give it structure. Now, there's different types of ground tissue, and I don't go into it in Science 10, but there's a special type of ground tissue called parenchyma. And parenchyma is the strings that you have in celery. So those stringy things will be just the parenchyma. So when you get the strings from celery stuck in your teeth, it'll be parenchyma. There are special ground tissue cells in the leaves of plants that help with photosynthesis. Photosynthesis. So we're still ground tissue, but they're just really special in the leaves. Really special kinds of leaves. And we call these mesophyll. Mesophyll. Now, there's 2 types of mesophyll. You don't have to know the 2 types, I just want you to know they're mesophyll. But the long ones are called palisade, and the smaller circular ones are called spongy. Now, when you look at your leaf under the microscope, I want you to notice the difference. And on some of them, I say like the arrow is pointing to the palisade. You know, if you've been going around, do you see that? Or say you point to the palisade. So here is a little sketch. So this is like a leaf, and I cut it, and I look at the leaf. Here is like these long columns. So they're longer. These are palisade mesophyll. Then when they're smaller and more circular like this, they're called spongy. So it's called spongy because it looks more like a sponge. There's space in between, right? Now, what color are leaves in the summertime? Green. What color are they in the fall? Brown, yellow, red, yeah. Okay. If you go out east, they're even more different colors. So why are leaves green?
Because they got chlorophyll in them.
Chlorophyll. Where is chlorophyll found? What organelle of the plant cell? Chloroplast. So what happens in the fall then?
Chloroplast. Does chloroplast stop working?
Chloroplast stop working, maybe? They freeze out?
Maybe they stop receiving water, stop transpiring.
Maybe, yeah. Okay. So then where does the red and the yellow and the orange and all the other colors come from then? How come those colors disappear? Oh, okay. Good, making the connection, yeah. There's an absence of chlorophyll. So was the red there before?
Maybe.
Ah, you're right. It was. Those colors are actually there before, but the green is covering them up. So once the chlorophyll breaks down because of cold temperatures, then it exposes to different colors. And we have so much chlorophyll in the leaves because there are so many mesophyll cells in the leaves. Way more than there is in the stem. Way, way more. Okay? Because they're very special ground tissue ones. Okay, here's another picture. Again, here's the palisade, here's the spongy. And look here, we see there's a stoma, and here's guard cells. So on your leaf ones, I want you to notice the stomas and the guard cells too. Okay. So next, we will do vascular tissue. So what was our first one? Dermis or dermal tissue. Yeah, epidermis, dermal tissue. Second one was ground tissue. And the last one here, vascular. Okay, so all you had to know is 3. So vascular tissue is responsible for moving materials. Moving materials. Maybe we'll make a little summary sheet. Yeah. Xylem is a type of vascular tissue, and it transports water. Phloem primarily transports sugar. The way I remember it is X in the xylem is closer to W in the alphabet. You know, yeah, X, Y, Z. Yeah. I think of X as being at the end of the alphabet, and same with W, right? So I just kind of put them together. So xylem with water, they're at the end of the alphabet. I don't know. That's how I remember, because I get them mixed up. Phloem and food. Okay, good one. Now, when you eat a carrot, this is what part of a plant is the carrot part that we eat? The root, okay. So as we noticed before, okay, we should have ground tissue, epidermal tissue, and vascular tissue in every part of the plant, including the root. So this root has vascular tissue. What part of the carrot is sweeter? If we were to look at this carrot and say which part is sweeter, would you say?
Center.
Really?
That's it.
Oh, I let you looking at the top.
So, if I was to break it down into these parts,
I was looking at the other one.
okay, versus, say, so which part is sweeter, the green or the red one? The red one is sweeter. Maybe you haven't taken the carrots apart. I would do this. I would like kind of take them apart. Okay, I guess I was dissecting as a young age. But The inside part is generally woodier, like it's tougher, it's not as sweet, because the inside part is xylem, and around is the phloem. So the phloem is sweeter because it's transporting sugars. Okay. Now, phloem and xylem are packed together in something called a vascular bundle.
Is there vascular tissue from like animal cells too?
Animal cells?
Like
No.
animals, like animals?
No, we would think more, when we think about transporting nutrients and things, we would think about blood vessels. That's like the mechanism for transport, yeah. But it's similarly then vascular tissue is kind of like the blood or the lifeline, the blood vessels of plants, you know, if you want to kind of compare. Yeah. So in your when you go around in your slides, some of them I say that the arrow is pointing to a vascular bundle. And generally the way, you know how we use different stains when we stain the onion?
Yes.
Well, this type of stain that's used generally for plants, the stain will react with the xylem and it turns it red. So the xylem is red and the blue is phloem. So when you look at your slides, that's the difference, okay? All right, so should we make a summary sheet and then fill in our diagram? Or which one you want to do? Summary sheet?
So I want to read the sheet.
Which one? Okay. Okay, we'll do our diagram first. And then because it's right there, some of the arguments with that. Okay, so I'll kind of go through this with you. So let's start on the top left-hand side. So let's put stoma. Stoma meaning just one. So we have a stoma there. This is the opening for gas exchange. You don't have to write that though. You can just write stoma. And then the next one is pointing to the waxy cuticle. Now, the next part just shows, okay, all of this together, we would say is mesophyll.
Do we have to know how to spell that?
Yeah. And then there's just an airspace there to know that there's air between. Did I make that a blank?
Yeah. Well, he wrote it.
Okay, I had it. And then here we have a guard cell, so it's like these things. These are guard cells. And look, ooh, we have carbon dioxide coming in and oxygen going out, right? Carbon dioxide coming in, oxygen going out. What else? So are we good for the left-hand side?
No.
No? No? Are you serious? Are you teasing me?
No, we said yes.
Oh, okay. Okay. It's okay if it was. Okay, so now let's start at the top of this side. So we got our guard cells around our stoma here. And then we have an upper epidermis. Specifically, then we have the palisade mesophyll because it's all long. Next is called the spongy mesophyll. And then last, this is actually a vascular bundle, so if we looked at it, it'd be like you'd see the circles. And it's also sometimes called, it's a vein, because like we were comparing kind of animal to plant, this is almost like the blood, the lifeline of the plant, so it's like its vein. And then we have the lower epidermis and our waxy cuticle. So on the back of your sheet, I have directions that for an assignment to draw your own leaf. So I would just, you know, you can get a clean piece of paper and make your own leaf kind of, and do a nice job. And but also practice it quick too, because I want you to, if I gave that to you blank, I would want you to be able to label it. Okay?
We don't do
Well, I'm thinking we can put our summary sheet on there. Or if you want to do it on the back, you can, because then the directions are there. And we can do our summary sheet on another one. Doesn't matter. You can pick. But let's do a summary sheet now, just organizing the 3 different tissues. Are we good? Yeah? Okay, summary sheet next. So either on the back or you can get a new page. Whichever you want. Plant tissues. The first one was dermal or epidermis. The next one was ground. And the last one was vascular. So we'll just kind of make a jot note of the main thing, and there was a couple special things about each. Mine's uneven too. So the dermal tissue, the main thing is that it's on the outer, what did we say, like outer layer? Or what did I say in your notes? Outer something?
It's like the
Outer layer of cells.
Outer layer, okay. Now, there was something special on the outer layer of the leaves. Yeah, so sometimes we can have special on the leaves. We can have a cuticle. What are some very special dermal cells that make an opening? Guard cells. They guard the stoma, right? And then the stoma is the opening. So these are special dermal cells that we only find on the leaves, okay? Because we need that opening because we need gas exchange for photosynthesis. We know photosynthesis happens in the leaves, so that's where the most chlorophyll is. Ground tissue, what was its main job? Support, yeah. Oh, and we said it was beneath the epidermis, right?
Yeah.
I guess that was the location. So beneath epidermis. Support. Was there anything special about ground tissue that we should note? Yeah, in the leaves we had a special kind. Yeah. So special in leaves. So the special ground tissue that was in the leaves was called mesophyll, because it has lots and lots of chloroplasts for photosynthesis. So that's all I'm going to put for mine. If you want to put a couple other notes about mesophyll, you can, but you have all the other notes in your notes too. Okay?
You have to know the 2 different, you don't have to know the kinds of mesophyll, do you?
No, but if I want you to,
Identify which is which.
yeah. But there's differences in how they function, but I won't tell you about it. It's too much. Okay? Okay, vascular tissue, main purpose, transport stuff. So there's 2 types of xylem, and vascular tissue, and it goes all throughout the whole.
So where would you say this one is?
Where? It's like usually it's found in the center, but it changes at different points.
So you can't really say it's outer layer.
No, we'll just say that it's beneath the epidermis too. No, let's say more in center. You don't have to know, but it's a good question. It's actually interesting how it changes from the root to the leaf.
Just like trees, go to the ring.
Okay, so there's two types. There's the xylem. It transports water. And the phloem transports sugar.